Let's pick up with part 2 of Did You Ever Wonder How We Ended Up with the Typical Business Structure and What's Wrong with It?
So given our mission, we need to do some analysis then on our existing business or on our proposed new business. Now, I want you to forget any preconceived notions of business practices you may have and give me a clean slate for the rest of this tutorial. Here's a basic rule. All systems we encounter have a fundamental characteristic in common. They're all stimulus response mechanisms. I'm cautious in the use of absolutes like all, but in this case, I'll stick with that definition. Now, the definition of stimulus from Webster Dictionary is something that incites into action or exertion. Now, that's perfect for the way I want to start doing our analysis. Now, picture any system as a black box, where initially you only care about the outside stimulus and its final response. Remember from my initial outside customer view, each stimulus in our business arises from our originally selected external customer event. The stimulus rule applies to any type of system. Here's an example of an environmental stimulus response system. The event is the storm, which produces the stimulus rain, and the response is erosion. Over time, especially with something like acid rain, this can be as significant as the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Now, this example is included thanks to a student in one of my seminars at the U.S. Bureau of Land Management. When referring to stimulus response systems in this particular seminar, I committed a faux pas and said, I'm not talking about a rock here. I'm talking about systems. The student spoke up and said, so you don't think a rock is a stimulus response system? Go look at the Grand Canyon. And I thought, oh dear, what did I say? Of course a rock is a stimulus response system. Here's an example of a biological stimulus response system. The event is a hammer blow to the body, causing the stimulus pain, and the body's response being to remove the body part. And probably some accompanied verbal response also. Here's an example of a organizational stimulus response system. The event is the customer need. The stimulus is an order, and the response is an invoice and product out of our organization. This stimulus response example is the most applicable to the business world. The important thing here is each stimulus arises from an external event. In other words, from a business point of view, we're stimulated by the needs of our external customers. The reason for talking about events and their stimulus is because the best structure for inside of our business is around the response to our customer events. However, it's important to differentiate between the types of events that a business responds to. After working with event-driven concepts for years, I realized that there are 3 main types of events to which a business responds. The most important are business events. Business events are those to which an organization wishes to respond. These fulfill the organization's mission. They always originate at whom or what is called a customer. In a private business, these are usually revenue generating. In government, they're the ones that support laws. Next are dependent events. Dependent events are those to which an organization responds to be able to satisfy its business events. They usually come from vendors and suppliers and are created when part of a business event is outsourced. Let me enlarge on this one. For example, when I use a package delivery service to get my books to a seminar, that service will trigger me later with an invoice. That's an incoming event stimulus for my organization. I could buy my own delivery truck or Learjet and do my own book delivery and bring this part of the event back under my control. But that would be too expensive, so I outsource this task. Notice, though, that they are now fulfilling one aspect of my business event's reaction to my customer, and any part I outsource reflects on my organization, so you must pick event as well. Then we have regulatory events. Regulatory events are those to which an organization is required to respond. They come from government or business regulatory agencies. For example, I must respond to my corporate fiscal year to the government. The calendar is my stimulus here. So as you can see, not all events are from what we would typically call a customer. However, it's the business events that form our core business. For example, I'm in business to sell seminars, not to pay delivery companies. Okay, so now we can get into the real analysis of our business. We can think of every organization as having an event horizon. I like the use of that term here, as our event horizon is the boundary that our customer stimuli crosses and over which our business responses pass. We have no control beyond that boundary. This simple diagram shows an overall conceptual view of an organization. When completed, it will show different types of events with their stimuli and responses, but does not show any details of inside the organization. This is an organizational context diagram with its events list. I recommend you produce one of these. They're very helpful to discover all the events to which your business must actually respond. We depict our organization as a black box. This shows the boundary of our business. Then show each event stimulus and its resultant response around this box, the business. I've color-coded this diagram to match the events as we go through them in the model. For example, here's a business event. Customer wants to order our product, creating a customer order stimulus to us and resulting in our ordered product and invoice response. Here's another business event. Customer wants to pay our invoice, creating a customer payment stimulus to us and resulting in our customer receipt response. Here's another business event. Dividend period arrives, triggered by a dividend period control stimulus to us and resulting in our profit and loss statement response sent to the owner. Here's a dependent event. Supplier delivers material, triggered by a material delivery stimulus to us and resulting in our stimulus payment back to the supplier. Finally, here's a regulatory event. Tax deadline arrives, triggered by the calendar tax deadline date and resulting in our tax reports being sent to the government. We'll use this context diagram and its event stimuli as a guide to further study more detail inside our business.
I hope you found the ideas in this overview presentation of our methodology informative. There's obviously more to the concepts than presented here. So if you want to learn more, we have a series of video tutorials which will give you the details on how to use event-driven concepts to analyze, model, and specify an organization. The resulting business models can be used to implement an efficient, cost-effective organization.